So this latest chapter of Choujin X, we get a lot of backstory and information about Tezuya, and a lot of things are starting to clear up in what was going on after last chapter. Because what last chapter, when we first got introduced to Tezuya, there was just a lot of question marks about him. When we saw the bunny gangsters appear at his house, to the whole reason why he destroyed a soda machine, and there was just a whole bunch of mystery between him. And it was just kind of funny because with this chapter, it explains everything. It explains his backstory, even though we kind of got in like a little bit a brief story about it, but we're actually able to see the events on how his Choujin's powers actually activated. And then not only that too, but we're able to see that Ellie and Tokyo, they found the culprit who was actually robbing the banks. So things are about to go very, very interesting in this chapter of Choujin X. Now, I do want to apologize if the audio does not really sound good or sound messy. It's just due to the fact that I am out of town currently and I'm coming back later today by the time you have this video. So please bear with me. Other than that, if you guys do want to see more content of Choujin X or any other content like Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, Kaiju number 8, Record of Ragnarok, and Solo Leveling, please give it a like and subscribe for more of these content. So now let's begin the beginning of the chapter. While we see Tokyo and Ellie, they're at a diner talking to Tezuya and trying to figure out like, okay, so what is going on and why are you using your powers against a soda machine? Because at this moment in time, this is a bad look and this is going against the school of Mori because they disapprove of these tactics. So what ended up happening was that Tezuya, he started capping at this moment in time, just like what he's wearing at this moment. So Tezuya is just telling them that, oh, I'm a class A and I'm doing an investigation. And at this moment in time, Ellie is just looking at him like, this dude is straight capping. This dude is straight lying. And she just has him looking at as sus. And because at this moment in time, she's like, I don't believe your story. So this whole time she's just staring at him and she's just questioning. She's like, a soda pop machine? You're destroying a soda pop machine? And Tezuya just continuously with the lie saying that, oh, yeah, no, it's an investigation. I can't give you all details. And Tokyo, he's just like, hey, let's just hear him out. If this is what he says, this is what he says. If anything else happens, we're going to continue just questioning him and investigate what's going to happen. He was just like, we don't know much about the lives of Choujins because like it's true because they just got in here, they're just in school, they don't know all the details about class A or class B with the rankings. So he's just like, you know what, if he says he's in class A and this is part of his mission, let it be. So what happened is that Ellie, she still don't trust Tezuya. And then so while she asked Tezuya, she was like, okay, so how much money do you make? And Tezuya advised that he makes 300K during a mission. So she was just like, oh, 300K. So then that got Ellie switching her brand because it seems like Ellie was going to go for class B. And now she's just like, you know what? After the end of the conversation with Tezuya, she was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and jump into class A since class A makes more money. And that's what it is. And then so Tokyo is just like, oh, okay. So he was very, very shocked. But also, too, in the back of Tokyo's head, he kind of questioning. He's just like, that just kind of is strange that he's doing an investigation. So while that's going on, we see Tezuya leaving the diner, and he is just relieved that he is able to get Tokyo and Ellie off his back for the moment because he almost blew his shot, because we later found out what is the real deal of what Tezuya is doing. So we go into the whole backstory of what is going on with Tezuya and what his true motives is. And we actually found out that he is living a double life as a person who is a criminal. And he starts to reminisce why he is doing these things like robbing banks, stealing money from soda machines, and doing all of these tactics. It was because of the events of what happened to him a year ago. Because a year ago, remember from last chapter, that the story was that he was this famous pitcher, that he was going to make it to the big leagues. after high school. So what happened was that we see Tezuya reminiscing the events of what occurred. And at this moment in time, this man was a great pitcher. This man was just knocking every shot that he was having, making strikeouts and everything. So at this moment in time, we see that Tezuya is being motivated because baseball is the only thing that he has in life to get him out of poverty. And so while he is just focusing on his next pitch, because his next pitch is going to be the big one, is going to make him become in a major league. So that way he'll be rich. That's way he'll be satisfied. That's way he will take care of his family. So that way he doesn't have to live in the streets. So what happened was, as soon as he's about to throw in his next pitch to make it be 100% perfect, and that would seal the deal of his life of living in poverty, that's when his Choujin powers start to activate. And then we start to see him throwing this ball actually hit the pitcher. And then all of a sudden, there was a giant sinkhole, and everyone is in shock. And everyone pinpointed out that, oh my gosh, Tezuya is actually a Choujin. And then we start to see a panel of Tezuya signing an autograph to a kid, and it says monster, and we see a whole bunch of baseball, which indicated which was the downfall, which indicated that that's when a lot of people turned their back on him and started to calling him a monster and treating him like trash because he's a Choujin. So out of that, he hears that his beeper is running, and he snaps out of his own daydream, and he is just looking back and probably a little disgusted because the fact that he has to do dirty things and robbing people to actually go ahead and make a living. So at this moment in time, we go back into Tokyo and Azuya, and then they start to hear the news about how another bank robbery has happened and there was a giant sinkhole. So what happened was that we see that, Tokyo's friend was indicating that this has to be in a mindset of Choujin. And then so while Tokyo, he started thinking about how he met Tezuya and how his Choujin powers was activated and how he made a sinkhole of the soda machine. And he was just like, he put two to two together because at the end of his lecture from his Choujin classes, him and Ellie, they started asking their instructor, like, hey, so what about, Tezuya? Is everything that he says was true? That was he as a registered class A. She informed them about Tezuya and how he was in the process of registering for a class A. So Ellie and Tokyo, they realized that Tezuya was actually lying. And then so instead of just trying to go ahead and tell anyone about what Tezuya is doing, because what he's doing is wrong, they decided to take the matters into their own hands and try to go ahead and talk to Tezuya so that way they could make everything easy, because they didn't want, the adults and the other authorities to get involved, because this would be a whole big mess and that will be able looking like they be snitching. So towards the end of the chapter, we see a whole bunch of gangsters in this warehouse, and that's just pretty much how the chapter ends. We see all the money from the bank, and that's just how the latest chapter of Choujin X ends. So this latest chapter was pretty cool. It was pretty interesting. The artwork, how we start to see Tezuya, how his life just turned around, was the masterpiece of this chapter. Like, it was just 100% flawless. How, the design and how the mindset of Tezuya was when he found out that he is a Choujin, and how his life just turned around. So it was just pretty interesting to see, just the whole concept of it. And honestly, to understand why Tezuya is doing what he's doing, because at this moment in time, he felt like baseball was his only way out and not realizing the other resources that is available for him. But other than that, let me know down in the comment section how you guys feel about this chapter. What was your favorite moments? And let me know down in the comment section what you guys feel like what's going to happen in the next chapter of Choujin X. This is the Monotone Man. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and remember, always be decent and